That brings us to the second point, where people are saying you're not even conventionally attractive enough to have this point. I will say looks will play a part in the way that you're received on the internet. However, anytime any woman comes on the internet and says these are my standards for dating, I'll go find you a coffee date woman. They're out there. They exist. What is so wrong with this lady saying, no, I don't want to do a coffee date? That brings
What's so wrong with her saying she doesn't want to do a coffee date? There's nothing wrong with her telling the guy politely she doesn't want to do a coffee date. I even said that. It was great that she was polite. What was wrong is her attitude that she seemed to have. Again, I could have been misinterpreting it. Y'all tell me if y'all didn't see the same thing I did. But she seemed to have this attitude that she deserved more. The word you all use, deserved more. That's why the phrasing that she used, she said, coffee date will never be enough for me or something like that. She said, right. That's her saying, oh, you need to do more for me. Okay, well, if you say I need to do more for you, think of it like a job. If a person comes in and they say, oh, you need to pay me more, guess what people are going to do? Okay, well, let's look at your resume. If somebody looks at her resume is extraordinarily thin. Her sexual marketplace resume is thin. I would be surprised if she even had one job on her resume. And then you come in talking about, all right, I'm going to need a company expense account. I'm going to need a company car. I'm going to need weekends off every single weekend. I'm going to need an executive position, and I'm going to need 6 figures. And they're looking at her resume like, ma'am, are you looking at the same thing in which we're looking? You'd be doggone lucky if we gave you a job as a janitor. You'd be lucky if we gave you that starting at that position in the company, let alone being on the 30th floor. Are you out of your mind? That's the problem, ma'am. That's the problem.
brings us to the second point, where people are saying you're not even conventionally attractive enough to have this point. I will say looks will play a part in the way that you're received on the internet. However, anytime any woman comes on the internet and says these are my standards for dating, attractive, conventionally attractive, or unconventionally attractive, is going to have a negative reaction.
Bull crap. Bull crap. No. You're not going to try to pull that bull crap. You're not. Because people do not have a problem with somebody having a standard. That's not a problem. I'm talking especially males to females. Nobody has a problem with someone having a standard. You know the thing with which they have a problem? Your standard being completely out of control. And here's where you all run into a problem. You think that your standard being out of control is based on how you think. It's so crazy. Well, this is my standard, and I don't think it's out of control. And the world's looking around like, you do know the world rates things. You do know the world looks at people, places, things. There's a thing called the market. There's a market for stocks. There's a sexual marketplace market as well. When you go into the sexual marketplace and you say, I want A, B, and C, people look and say, okay, based on who she is that a person who would deserve A, B, and C? But not only that, it's how you talk about it as well. So let's say, for example, you have a female who's a 9 out of 10. Like somebody like Halle Berry, Brittany Renner, the way they look, they were over 9. They were like 9.5. They were literally that good looking. If their attitude was, oh, I love a guy who, makes above average money, like in the 1%, I love a guy like that. But if I find a guy who makes, really good money and he's a nice guy and he treats me good and he looks good, hey, I'll date him too. If they said that, guess what? Guys would have no problem. They'd have no problem because they're like, well, she looks good enough. And yeah, she's not being ridiculous about it. And she's not being arrogant about it. They would have no problem. But you know how they actually come in? They come in like that other female who was talking about, no, that'll never be a choice for me. Oh, you at least need to have this. If you do not have this, don't even come talk to me. Don't even waste your time. Guess what just happened? You just went from being a 9.5 to now being an 8. because you still look good, but you don't understand that there are two scales. There's a scale of your attitude, and then there's a scale of your looks. Both of them are tens. If you have an attitude of a 3, but you have the look of a 9.5, then your average is like 6.15. So that means the way you look is a 6.15 to guys because of your arrogance. But if you have a 9 attitude and you're a 9.5 looks, you're a doggone unicorn. Guys will be freaking clamoring for you. So that's the thing. It's not about you having a preference. It's about, is your preference ridiculous for your SMV? And the other part of it, the attitude behind your preference. If you have a nasty attitude behind your preference, yeah, people are going to clown you.
Every single time, no matter if they are drop dead gorgeous, right? The reaction is going to vary, but they're still going to have a visceral reaction. I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, like I said, why did they have that visceral reaction? Because that person was being arrogant. Please don't leave out that caveat.
It when models come out and spoken out. I've seen it when like influencers come out and speaking out, and these are like women that are like gorgeous, and men are in the comments like, oh well, these women, you're still just a bird, right? Like anytime any woman comes on here and says, hey, these are what I expect from a man, the men gonna be upset, and women too, because I've seen a lot of women coming from her neck.
First of all, when women say that this is what they expect, they don't speak in an arrogant tone. They don't say things that are completely out of pocket. They say things that are reasonable and rational. That's what women do. But you modern females, and she seems like she's a modern female. You modern females, yeah, I mean, again, she seems like she is. You all can tell me what you think she is, if she's a traditional woman, a modern female. But modern females, they don't come on with any humility. They don't. And that's the problem. But she doesn't seem to understand this, which is crazy. So I'm gonna try to have a conversation with her, and we're gonna see what happens. Y'all stay over here, fellas. I'll be right back. Hey, man, how you doing? No, I'm not trying to holler at you. God, why do you always think somebody coming over here to holler at y'all? No, I wanted to ask you some questions because I saw that you did a video on that one female who wanted to more than a coffee date, but the guy asked her for a coffee date. She was like, no, and then she went and bought herself a croissant and that broccoli cheddar soup and the Dr. Pepper and the chicken sandwich. Yeah. I saw the video that you did on it. And I understood why you were saying some of the stuff you were saying in there, but you were like so wrong. It was ridiculous in so many of the realms. No, I mean, no, you actually were. You just don't know you were. No, let me explain. See, you were saying something particularly. I'm going to speak about the thing where you said that whenever a female comes on and says her preferences, that she gets jumped on. And she may get jumped on. That may be true that they get jumped on, like maybe the majority of them, but you left out a huge caveat. Yeah, you didn't say that the reason that they get jumped on is because of the arrogance behind their asking. You've never seen a female be reasonable in her asking and what it is that she says, with her sexual marketplace value being with that, and somebody clown her. You've never seen that. It's always a female who's talking reckless, and she doesn't have the SMV to be talking reckless like that. For real, think about it. Right. And that's the thing. See, you didn't even think about that part. Again, I understand you trying to defend that female because of the sisterhood. Yes, I get it. Yeah, I know how you all are. But you got to be honest, man. Guys don't have a problem with you having a doggone preference. No, they don't. No, you're wrong. They don't. The problem is when your preference is one, past your sexual marketplace value, because guys determine your sexual marketplace value if you're a heterosexual female, right? Wait, you think that you all determine your own value? Listen, we're not talking about how you just feel about yourself when you wake up in the morning and you start doing the whole motivational thing and manifest. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about literally, if you're a female and the guy wants to date you, it's in essence you being a donut in the store and the guy comes in and he tastes the donut and he says whether it tastes good or not. If every guy who comes in the store says your donuts taste like crap, you can't be like, oh, their palate is just, nah, it's just not good. That's all. They just don't have the palate to understand how awesome these donuts taste. You get what I'm saying? Right, exactly. So that's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. I don't want no smoke. I just came over here to ask a question and, I got a chance to ask and I appreciate it. So thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and get the entire freak out of here.
Did y'all see the video of the lady who came on the internet and said that she was invited out by a male co-worker to go have coffee after work? She said she declined it because she doesn't do coffee dates, and instead she went to a restaurant, got her little sandwich set up. And now the reason she said she declined the coffee date is because she feels basically it's a low effort date and she does not want to go on a coffee date with anybody. As the internet works, a lot of people are having a lot of mixed reactions to her making her standards known on the internet. Few of the main reasons that I'm seeing are, number one, they feel like, why is coffee date not an acceptable date, especially if you're just now getting to know somebody. And just because someone's sitting down to have coffee doesn't mean it's low effort. It just means we want to get to know somebody without a high expectancy of it becoming this whole thing. Second reason people are upset is because they feel like she is not attractive enough to have these type of standards, much less tell the internet that she has these type of standards. Basically, if you don't look like a certain way, they think that you need to be quiet and or you need to lower your standards. Now, here are my thoughts on this. Okay, so in regards to women declining coffee dates, that is their standard for their dating life. If they do not want to go on a coffee date, why are y'all so upset about it? Y'all are not dating them, okay? There are plenty women that will go on coffee dates and will enjoy a coffee date and will have no problem meeting you for a quick little brunch, a quick little, oh, you want to grab coffee at this really cute restaurant? They will have no problem with that. Why are y'all so gung-ho on beating women down into submission to say, no, every woman needs to accept coffee dates? No, go find you a coffee date woman. They're out there. They exist. What is so wrong with this lady saying, no, I don't want to do a coffee date? That brings us to the second point, where people are saying you're not even conventionally attractive enough to have this point. I will say looks will play a part in the way that you're received on the internet. However, anytime any woman comes on the internet and says, these are my standards for dating, attractive, conventionally attractive, or unconventionally attractive, is gonna have a negative reaction every single time, no matter if they are drop dead gorgeous, right? The reaction is going to vary, but they're still going to have a visceral reaction. I've seen it time and time again. I've seen it when models come out and spoken out. I've seen it when like influencers come out and speaking out, and these are like women that are like gorgeous, and men are in the comments like, oh, well, these women, you're still just a bird, right? Like, anytime any woman comes on here and says, hey, these are what I expect from a man, the men gonna be upset, and women too, because I've seen a lot of women coming for it from her neck.
Wool up, just wool up.
See, now that's some bullshit.
Grab yourself some merch on the way out in order to support the channel, and of course, don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks, good man fam.